regular meeting place thereof at 5:30 p.m., April 18th, 2023. Please stand for the invocation and pledges. Cabin Novak will lead you through the pledges. Invitation first. Rhonda Tomasi. So, Father, we thank you, first of all, for wisdom, revelation, insight, and accountability integrated with the council this month. And we thank you for all that you're doing for the city of Caldwell to promote and bring it into your plan for the people. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we have some citizens to be heard on city-related topics. And first we have Ellen Jones regarding Bank Street. You can come up over here. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. I'm glad the fracking trucks aren't really coming down the street for any longer. It's driving me nuts. I know that the city got hold of the construction company and they came out last week and patched the little ditches 6 feet from the curb to the center and the 12-foot length. However, the city came out yesterday, I think it was, and put more dirt in there. That's not lasting long. At the rate the vehicles go over it, it will not be there long. There needs to be some kind of preemptive plan. I know that you're not going to, or the road, TxDOT isn't going to resurface the road till September, I think it is, they said. So something needs to be done because vehicles are going to get wrecked. The other thing that the construction company that put the sewer lines in left us with was rocks. Quartz rocks, about that big to about that size, all along the curb. The drainage runs down in front of my house and down around 10th Street, which I'm on the corner of. There's nowhere for it to drain. When we had all that rain a couple of weeks ago, all the water stood right in front of my house. The mosquitoes, mold. Yeah. My husband is 77 years old. He was out there Saturday with a shovel and a broom, picking up rocks and putting them in the ditches in the middle of the street. And they're in the yards. So if you hit it with a lawnmower blade, 3 things are going to happen. The rock is going to pop back up and crack your blade. It's going to hit somebody's vehicle, mine or somebody else that's driving down the road, or somebody's house. Either way, there's damage done. The last thing, well, not the last thing, sorry, the third thing, manhole covers that were put in, mine is fine now. They put cement in my driveway, mine was sticking up that high off my driveway. I couldn't park. They fixed that. The others are in the ground. They did put dirt around the majority of them. They're sinking again. The dirt is sinking, not the manhole covers. So that needs to be addressed somehow or another because water's going to collect there. Mosquitoes. We've all lived in Texas in the summer. It's going to happen. And the last thing is, and it's not really city except the fact that it was caused because of fracking vehicles. Not this past summer, but summer before last, I had my house foundation done. They fixed the cracks in the brick outside my walls. 2 huge cracks. Those have been recracked. Now there's 2 new cracks in the outside brick. I had Johnny Albrecht, who, y'all know anything about him, works for the city, he's lived here for ages, does side jobs. He came in and replaced sheetrock in my house and fixed the cracks that had happened because of the foundation and put orange peel texture where he had fixed and painted it. There's 5 cracks now that weren't there before that he never had to fix. I can't afford to hire him to come in with an orange peel texture, and if you tape and float over it, it's going to show like a sore thumb. I mean, I can mud and tape with the best of them, but even with paint over it, again, it's going to look like I put a Band-Aid on my wall. And we live on Social Security. I can't afford to fix it again. And I don't know whether, I talked to Chief Barnes this morning, who suggested maybe getting hold of the oil company or, I don't know who to get hold of, but I can't afford the repairs on that. the outside or the inside. And I know I've got neighbors across the street from me who had wood floors put in at the same time I had my wood floors put in after the foundation was done, and theirs had popped up in places. So it's not just me that's having problems with houses. It was definitely caused by the fracking trucks going down. And I mean, they shook and vibrated the streets till one of my neighbors next door to me got up in the middle of the night. He thought he was being broken into. They were really vibrating loud. I have hospital beds for my husband and myself with the Tempur-Pedic mattress. I could put a cup of tea on that mattress and get in the bed, and that fluid never shakes in that cup. Those trucks made the whole beds vibrate across the floor. And it's a carpeted floor in the bedroom. It's not a wood floor. So, yeah, I don't know what to ask for, but I need help. Desperately need help. The rocks, maybe the city can do something about that. They're in all of our yards. It's not just my yard. It's all across from 9th Street on down. So everybody that has it in their yard, if they hire somebody to mow the yard or they do it themselves, there's going to be a problem. Someone won't want that. And like I said, manhole covers, I know the one in front of, not Johnny Albrecht's house, but the new house they built between Johnny Albrecht's house and my house on the 10th Street corner. The back of it is facing Banks. I'm not sure why. But the manhole cover is on Bank Street. There's a ditch all the way around that manhole cover full of sewer water. That can't be good. Pretty much, that's it. If y'all can see your way to doing something, dandy. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Now or at the end?
It's up to you.
You can respond.
Okay. I know we've spoken before.
Yes.
I've been out there several times. We plan on putting a permanent solution. What happens is during all of that rain, we've got to wait until a lot of that base dries out. And that way we can actually have a service to go back over and pave. So we've been working
The roads are good right now.
Yeah,
It slows some of the traffic down.
and my crews are going out there checking daily and making sure we
They got
fill
there yesterday, I think, putting the dirt
in wherever we can. Once we get all that done, I think a lot of those rocks are flying out from those trucks coming through. We can come back through and see what we can do about that. We'll check on some of those.
Well, the rocks aren't what y'all were putting down. I want to make that clear. The rocks were from the construction company.
Okay.
It's what they put down when they put in the sewer line. It's what they originally put down on the streets level, below the street level. And they didn't, I guess they were trying to get it up to street level. And a lot of them made it out of street level and ended up in the curbs. And we asked them several times, could you get the rocks out of the yard? And they said, oh yeah, sure. And then they left. And never did it.
Okay. We'll check on it.
I appreciate it very much.
I will say the company that we brought out for that project, they're a very reputable contractor. We've used them several times, so
They were really nice. I thanked them for coming back last week.
Yeah, and we appreciate your patience. And I guess the trucks have slowed down.
There are no more fracking trucks.
Okay. So
they're holding the equipment. Last night I watched the pallets being driven out, and today oil-filled equipment was taken out. So the trailers have been taken out. So I'm sure the rocking horses are being put in now.
Okay. So we've identified a process to move forward. We're just waiting for that time for everything to dry out. We'll go back and blade that down and cover it with asphalt.
Yeah. Like I said, right now to me the street, I get that y'all have to wait and get to it. I understand that. Like I said, I understand the paving is August or September somewhere down the line.
Oh, we're not gonna wait for that. We're gonna go ahead and cover that just because we're not sure when that will let.
Yeah.
It may be December or January.
Okay.
I can't speak to that because that's not my project.
I talked to TechStop and asked them if they could put some slow signs up, and they said they had to talk to you guys.
Yeah, we're working on it.
So
doing something with
maybe
that.
that might help because nobody pays attention to speed limit signs. You know, or anything. The manhole covers the rocks and the houses because I'm not the only house.
We'll check on it.
I appreciate it so very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Holly Giller about the library in Sixton.
Good evening. My name is Holly Giller, and I'm the Vice President of the Harry P. Woodson Memorial Library Board. I spent my childhood here in Caldwell. I've taught here for over 20 years, and I'm raising my daughter here. And I wanted to address the council today about the discussion involving the library collection and possibly moving it to the Civic Center. In the past few years, our little library has grown like it has never grown before. We have programs for the young and the old. everything in between, and we have plans for more. Our library is evolving into being so much more than just books. We offer free ESL, GED, and computer literacy classes. We have story times for children, and it was really crazy in there today, just so y'all know. We have anime, Pokemon, sewing, homeschooling, and Lego clubs. We host local authors, have tax workshops, and sometimes even we host the Girl Scouts. We have a woodchuck club that boasts over 600 members of our community's children. We're looking for other ways to serve the community too. We have plans for things like family game nights and a teen book club, for example. We also have plans to update and expand our book collection. Our library is touching lives like never before, and it really is a beautiful thing. We've also developed a beautiful problem. We're kind of outgrowing our library. We're pretty good problem solvers, and we've talked about possibilities like expanding the current library building or even relocating the library. We see what we are, what we can be, and what we will be. As it is, some of our programs take place at the library, some at the Civic Center, and sometimes even at Davidson Creek Park, depending on logistics. Now, one of the ideas that we floated is housing the library at the Civic Center. This isn't even, it's barely even a discussion at this point. It's just an idea that we've had. There's no formal plans, there's no decisions that have been made, but I do understand that there is some concern there, and I kind of wanted to address that just briefly. The library doesn't want to take over the Civic Center. We want to preserve the Civic Center as it is and what it was designed to be. We want it to be the jewel of Caldwell, a centralized hub to serve our community in different ways. And as a library type person, we want to continue to evolve the library and its services. So it seems to me that we kind of want the same thing. There's no us and them and we and y'all. There's no right or wrong sides. And so what we would like to do is keep the focus on how to best meet Caldwell's needs. And then when we do that, Caldwell wins. Okay. So I'm really just asking the council to keep an open mind. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Is that it? Yes, ma'am. Very good. Okay, onward to the consent agenda. I'll need a motion to consider approval of the minutes for the March meeting and then approval of an updated interlocal agreement between the City of Caldwell and LCRA concerning electrical transmission control in substation facilities.
Move for approval.
Second. All in favor of accepting the consent agenda, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Next, public hearing. We'll hear from the Zerminos about their final plat submission. The West South Gate subdivision, parcel ID number 10680.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. So this plat is regarding the West South Gate subdivision. So this is west of Highway 36 off MLK. So this is about 10.836 acres total. And so they're focusing on the 7 lots that are adjacent to MLK. So this is platting out those 7 lots and then keeping a reserve tract A for future development. So that's 9.643 acres that's remaining. There's 3 additional lots that they previously platted as a minor plat. And so the total is going to be 10 lots for that initial subdivision. And I know that they've been working on the 3 lots already to get the infrastructure in place for those. That's obviously referenced in the staff report as reported already. So the development, they want to extend Elm Street southwards toward Highway 36 and then another future street between Elm Street and then the end of MLK where Peach Street intersects. At this time, they don't know what the next phase of the development looks like as far as the reserve tract. They're looking at a mix of residential and commercial, but that's something that they're still working on. They talked about having a commercial anchor that faces 36 as part of that, so we'll see where that goes. Let's see, the 2 proposed road extensions aren't going to be done at this time. This is just laying out the basic right of way for those areas as they develop these lots. this is just affecting the lots on MLK. So the actual road won't be done until later on when they do the infrastructure and bring all that forward with a different plat. I had one person reach out to me that was concerned, a property owner that was adjacent to the property in question, and she said that she wasn't really concerned unless they were going to be doing something that was like on her property, but I assured her that it's just on this property, so I didn't hear anything else from anybody, but the applicant's here to speak about it and answer any questions that y'all might have, so I'll let them talk if they have anything.
I mean, it's we're basing out this development, I guess, to build single-family homes for rentals, and we're targeting affordable rentals in our area. In the advance of, we're seeing a lot of families moving here, we're seeing cap fleet and the necessity for readily available quality rentals. This is phase one, like Forrest was saying, we don't know how we're gonna grow and how we're gonna develop the rest of the track, and hopefully in hand with the city and trying to do what A&M is planning for the comprehensive plan of the city.
Is there, I guess, any citizens that are here to speak?
No, none for this.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
for
a
public hearing, okay, I'm sorry. Is anyone interested in speaking now about this development?
I don't have land in the area where they're talking about, but I live in Houston. And so I received a letter from. Yes.
That's who I spoke to.
You spoke to me, yeah. And so my basic concern was like, how's it gonna affect us tax wise? How's it gonna affect us as far as city utilities and that type of thing? Because I know they've made most of Freemantown part of the city limits now. I haven't lived here in 20-some years, but I know they made most of Freemantown part of the city limits. So, I mean, does it mean that y'all are gonna run sewage all the way out? You're gonna run city utilities all the way out? That's my main concern.
So with this, they are extending to the sewer line where it ends at Elm Street. That will be extended down. There is water lines, and then they're improving the ditch and drainage along MLK that drains towards Highway 36 to the east.
So are they gonna finish fully paving the streets?
They'll go back after they get done with all the development. I mean, I'm sure that we'll work something out to improve that street at that time. But it would, I mean, it wouldn't be done until they get done with more of the development.
So does the city council know how it's gonna affect us tax wise?
I wouldn't think that you'd see a big effect. Most of, I think all of that area now is part of the city. They're all served by city utilities.
Right.
So they'll be utilizing some of those utilities, adding a little bit more. I don't think you'll really see any impact. It'll just be, it will add to the city's tax base that we currently have and our utility base too.
Hey, a city has to run and it's got time for this. It's no sense in saying we're inclusion.
And then, did you have any specific street concern in mind, or just along?
No, because we're like M and MLK, we're right in like.
Okay. So I think most of the.
You want a map or?
No, it's up here.
Okay.
So the majority of the improvements as far as utilities and stuff like that, all the times will be done along Park and 15 Drive.
Mhm.
So that, right now, that road is pretty narrow. I think we might have to look at what, at least going back and improving that road after they make those connections, because you're gonna have a bunch of.
Yeah, because right now
put
only
in.
one car can go down here at a time, pretty much.
And to touch a little bit on that, I think what this part of the city I don't think was platted, so our property went to the middle of the street. Our engineers left enough right of way that we donated, I think, 60 or 30 feet along our property line, so that street could be a little bit wider.
So are y'all gonna take like from all the lots that are on that street, MLK to make the road wider or just?
Just on our side. So
Okay.
just on our side of the property, we donated that land for the right of way of the street. The other, any other property owner should not
It
be.
shouldn't affect any current owners there. It won't affect them. That's what I was saying. It'd be just on this side where their lots are. Flat. So that'll give us the ability to widen that road after they make the improvement.
Okay.
Where's the Oak Street right there? Do you have a Oak Street?
Oak Street.
Oak
Street
Oak
is
Street.
further to the east.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's further this way? Shouldn't be affected. You may pull up a different map, just to look. Well, can you pull up just like Google Maps?
Google Map. I'm on Google Map. I don't know where this is. Down, oh, not moving. Specifically, he was looking at Oak
We should
Street.
probably start construction on this street on this middle.
So you guys got Oak Street coming right here, the development's gonna be this here. Correct?
Yes, sir. So now our development is where the cursor is.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's right, 'cause that's the element, so, I mean, yeah, but that should not be affected.
We're right there at the corner of the Oak Street and Martin Luther King, right at the corner. Are we gonna be losing?
No, because you say you donated it.
Yeah, no.
So you will start building on this side, right?
Yes, sir, on this side of
Which
the.
side you gonna start building on? Which end?
It's essentially, this is Elm right here, so in the counter corner of Elm. MLK, right here.
Going back this way.
Right, that's right, going towards Peach Street.
Okay.
Click on layers. It'll show us that one.
I can't see very well. I need to get another screen.
There you go, right here.
So the first three, we would start here, and then about right there.
So are they gonna be like regular standard size lots, like 50 by 50?
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. I think 55 by 100, that's what the city, whatever the city, 55 by 100. Yes, I believe so.
And this is gonna be total rentals.
That's right, yes, ma'am.
The rental game in Caldwell is weak. The home rental is weak here. So.
Yeah, I saw that this more private by the church.
Mhm.
So 10 houses right now.
Any further questions or discussions for the Zerninos? Okay, do we have a motion to accept the final plat from Zernino Enterprises for the West Southgate subdivision, parcel ID number 10680? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, right hand? Motion passes. Next, regular agenda items. Awarding a $600,000 time warrant for capital improvement projects and equipment and any processed documents required here.
Me?
Yes, sir.
come over here. I don't know if I like this thing here. I can't see anybody.
I didn't need to have a copy.
Okay, so y'all do have a copy of this. Through a time warrant of $600,000, we had two of our local banks submit offers. You have copies in front of you. Citizen State Bank came in at 4.55%, and Prosperity Bank was at 4.99%. So it'd be staff's recommendation to go with Citizen State Bank being the lower of the two bids.
I move we accept Citizen State Bank's bid for the time warrant.
Do you have a second? All in favor of accepting Citizen State Bank as the time warrant for $600,000, raise your right hand. All in favor, motion passes. Next, City Water Wells Rehabilitation Project in an amount not to exceed $500,000. Waiver of procurement process according to Texas Local Government Code Section 252.022. A procurement necessary to preserve or protect the public health or safety of the municipality's residents. Mr. Saba, yes? Or no?
I'll start. Thank you for reading this, so I don't have to remember the waiver part. So what we're trying to do here is we've noticed a considerable decline in our water table over the past year, especially at least 30 feet. I'm just kind of trying to see if I can see all y'all. Now, I'm using ballpark terms, so the reason that we brought this as with that procurement waiver is I don't think we have time to sit and wait out 3 months as we go through an actual procurement process. So I'm gonna go through these slides. If you go to the first slide, just kind of tell you where we're at and I'll come back to these options as we get to them. But in 2019, I'm gonna talk in terms of capacity. From our drought conservation plan that Strand put together for us. You don't have a copy of this, but I took the key out of it. We were pumping, this is well 3, which is at the warehouse. We were pumping about 950 gallons per minute. We had plenty of pump submergence at that time. Right now, according to Weisinger, they're the ones that do all of our testing. Our pump capacity there is 653 gallons per minute now. So a significant decline. The pump submergence right now is at 13.9 feet. We should be at least 20 feet, if not more. Really, we want about 100 feet below. So as we look at some of these options, I'll get back to. I'll just kind of run through it real quick. Option 1 here is just lowering the pumping equipment 30 feet. It really doesn't buy us that much. Option 2 in this case would be lowering the pumping equipment 100 feet. And upgrading our pumping capacity to 1,000 gallons per minute, kind of where we were back when we did this drought contingency plan. I think y'all have this in your package as far as cost data for those two. I'll circle back to that, but I want to go on and go to the next slide. Talk about water well 5, which is in the back of the industrial part. 2019 production was 1,150 gallons per minute. Right now we're at 659. The submergence on that pump is at 46 feet. The two options there would be lowering your pumping equipment at 60 feet to kind of get that 100-foot submergence. And then option 2 would be lowering pumping equipment at 100 feet, upgrade pump capacity to 1,200 gallons per minute. We'll come back and talk about all those options and kind of where we need to be. Next one should be well 6. Okay, so 2019 production, 1,100 gallons per minute. Right now we're about 800 gallons per minute. We got about 32 feet of coverage on that pump. So the same thing, you see the two options there. We can just lower the equipment 80 feet or lower the equipment about 100 feet and upgrade pumps and motors to be able to push 1,200 gallons per minute. What we're trying to do in the options that we present, and we've talked about it, Jeff and I have talked about it, try to halfway be conservative with money, but also get some pumping capacity and redundancy that we really need. We would like to take basically option 2 on well number 3, which would include lowering pumping equipment 100 feet and increasing the pump and motor capacity to get us 1,000 gallons per minute. And then looking at well 5, we would just look at option 1, which would just involve lowering that pumping equipment 60 feet. So your pump rates are going to stay about the same, but you know we still have the capacity that we need utilizing well 3. And then on well 6, we would like to consider, it's option 1, but it should be option 2, which would be lowering pumping equipment 100 feet, increasing capacity to 1,200 gallons per minute. Now, well 3 and well 6 sit on different pressure planes. So well 6 is the well that feeds the water tower on this side over here on Buck Street. Well 3 and well 5 feed the water tower over by the warehouse. So that's one of the reasons we decided that we would say, okay, with 3 feeding that water tower and 6 feeding this one, we would increase those capacities. One of the things that I want to tell you and kind of ask for a little bit of flexibility in how we do this is in well 3, the pump casing, or the well casing, I'm sorry, is 8 inches. And that new pump is going to be very close to 8 inches. So there's a possibility that we can't fit that thing in the casing that we currently have. What Weisinger will try to do is basically lower a dummy down that would act as the pump, and if that casing is offset anywhere in that dummy can't fit, well then we can't go down with new pump equipment. In that case, we would kind of shift that project over with 5. So that way we have the added capacity still on that side of the system. But that's kind of where we're at. Did I leave anything out there? Okay. I'm happy to answer questions on it. This is something that we need to do. As we walk through this, yeah, this is definitely not a want. This is something we need to do. As we walk through this, we'll if y'all approve this tonight, we'll come up with a plan where we'll only have one well out of service at a time. We'll be able to balance the systems to where there's no outages. There'll be, as I said, one well at a time. We do well 6 first. Come back and run that dummy in well 3 and just kind of see how that project is going to go. But I'm hoping to get this done before we really hit peak watering season.
So an emergent type almost, because peak watering begins in July, yes?
Yes. If we can keep getting these rains here and there, push that off further and further, I would be okay with that.
So is water well number 5 casing bigger than?
It is. It's a 10, I think 10 3/4.
Okay.
3 is a 8 inch.
Okay.
And they have to check the alignment.
So we won't have to have this. I mean, it'll be easy to switch over to number 5 if it doesn't
Yes.
fit.
Yes.
Working through. Okay.
Yes, it's a little bit more cost-effective to do 3.
Yes.
Because we don't have to add extra VFD and some other things that we have to do with
Gotcha.
They have to do control work.
So guesstimated cost combined for all 3 is $337,300.
Sounds about right. And there is some small kind of contingency stuff if they have to replace, this will be on the last page of your document. If they have to replace some of the column pipe or some of the other assemblies. That's why I would have to ask for that flexibility, because once we get into this project, I don't want to have to wait to come back to council and say, okay, we need to shift gears and move option 2 on 5.
We have the money?
We have money set aside in a water capital improvement fund that will cover this.
You know, a year ago, when Weisinger came and did the performance testing, everything was fine. No action required, nothing needed, everything was fine. They wanted to come in the fall of this year, and I held them up because we were pumping. And it takes some time to do this performance test. It eats up probably 10 or 12 hours a day. So I wasn't able to let them come till after the holidays. We started getting some rain. And then we get this report. Caught us totally off guard because when I get the information, we review it, and we were fine for the year.
But how many consecutive days did we have 100-degree temperatures over the summer too?
Oh, Lord, it was much.
We never had water restrictions, so people would water. So
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wrote that on my paper and I didn't say anything about it. As we walk through this also, as we take these wells out of service, we will probably call for conservation just to help us bridge that, because if we get later into June and people are watering, if it's already hot and dry, then we'll probably ask for conservation if we get to a point that we have to do restrictions, and that's just what we have to do. But in asking for this to be done, and waiving the procurement policy that we would normally adhere to, then we're trying to get ahead of that, where we don't get in a spot to have to call for conservation or even restrictions.
I'll have to be offline for them to replace it.
Is that
2 weeks. The material, the electronics, drives, everything is 2 to 3 weeks out. We told them they cannot start until material is in their yard, our yard. We want to pull it down and have to wait for a month or two, whatever. Right. It's basically a turn and burn.
Okay. Good.
It's unfortunate, basically.
do we have a question from the floor?
If my figure's right, y'all increased about 1,072 gallons per day on the selections that you did. When y'all were talking summertime, were those pumps running 100%? Or what percentage were they running?
What are you calling 100%? Gallons per minute?
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about running 24 hours.
No. I mean, they probably, I don't have that information with me, Gary, but I'm
not trying
just like 12, 14 hours a day.
Okay.
Because of the reduced capacity of the wells.
With y'all's plan, is that gonna cover also the new buildings and stuff that's coming up? So pay me now, pay me later type of deal, so you're not in a
It should.
Yeah.
I mean, when we look at capacities for our system, it should, and we can look at this drought contingency plan that we base back on that, and we have plenty of coverage. Then that's where I pulled the other figures from.
And you're going back with variable frequency drives, right? So
Soft
you're
starts.
going,
Well, they've got
soft starts. So you may save 20 to 30%
Yeah.
or more, since you're not running 100% capacity, and those motors don't have to run at the 200 horsepower power that they're.
No, the soft starts help with the initial coming.
Okay, so you're not.
Because we've got to fit that generator at the warehouse. Now.
Yeah, so the soft start will just help the inrush of power when those pumps kick on. We do have a VFD on well 5 that helps to regulate some of that.
Okay.
And you'll get the efficiencies that you're talking about.
Okay. All right. I think that's good.
I do have a question or a suggestion for, I know in cities like San Antonio that this has been a recurring issue, water conservation. The cities, they do programs to where they'll match funds for, and even there's some, I think there's some federal or state programs where people can install water saving toilets, faucets, shower heads. I mean, you go from 5-gallon toilet to a 0.8 gallon toilet. I don't know if that's something that council would consider for the citizens.
This is where the water's going, San Antonio.
It's that program is it's EPA. It's called Water Sense,
Mm-hmm.
and we could look into that. I know a lot of other cities, College Station, they were doing that. So the program he's describing is we would help supplement the cost of a low flow shower head or lower flow toilets. Instead of 2 gallons per minute per flush, it's 0.8 gallons. So it helps to reduce our overall usage.
Most pictures now are already that way.
Newer models?
I talked to a guy from Savannah about a month ago, and they're supposedly renegotiating which aquifer that they draw from, the San Antonio.
Yeah,
So they're gonna lower it, they're gonna go to a different aquifer.
I wouldn't be able to speak about it. No.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I didn't talk to them about that.
What type of visualization scope video are they, if y'all do this, are y'all gonna, how long's the pipe been around and everything?
The well at the warehouse is from 64, well 5 is 89, and 6 is from 2000, 99, 2000. Yes, they're gonna camera this.
Yeah. I was just curious that long because I know the country club is out of a totally different water. And it's iron. And we had, when I was head up over there, we pulled it and had holes all in it. We went back with PVC, of course, in a well that's not running 200 horsepower. I was just curious because if you're gonna go to all this while you got the rigs there and stuff, you don't inspect.
No,
Next week
we're investigating.
Okay, good.
We have to spend this kind of money.
Yes.
Gentleman is correct, and I believe it was in wisdom. Yes, we did adjust the permit. They'll be producing more, I would assume, or less out of producing in anticipation of that within the permit.
Have y'all seen drop in the county, like any other? I know there's like been so-called reports of wells having lower. Have y'all seen that pretty much around parts of?
Yes, and I know we were down at those offices a couple of weeks ago. And I owe Jeff an apology because we were supposed to get him some information last week and didn't. And got a call from staff a while ago. That's why I'm here. Make my apologies, Jeff. We told him we'd give you some information and we didn't. We're going to have a staff meeting in the morning about that. But yes, so we've been monitoring water level changes over the last 2.5 years, and we've been lowering pumps at households and domestic wells. And all that information is on our website. If anybody wants to go check it out, I don't know, Roy keeps up with it pretty closely.
Any other comments, questions, guys? Do we have a motion to accept this project?
I make a motion, we accept the proposal that Kim made.
So that would be for on well 3, we would look at option 2, which would include lowering that pump, new pumps and motors. Option 1 on well 5, and then option 2 on well 6. And then are you also going to give me the flexibility to change 3 and 5 if necessary?
Yes, and change 3 to 5.
I don't know if you got all that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
Get that last one.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand.
Who did the
None
second?
opposed? None opposed. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
No, thank you guys.
So what do you think that by the time they get everything in, I know they're not going to start, but might be summertime or might be.
I'm hoping that they get started. Jeffrey will call tomorrow and get them starting to order stuff for well 6. And hopefully, like I said, we want to be able to pull it and put the new equipment back down right away. So I'm hoping, mid-April, that I hope we start that by mid-May. Maybe even that second week of May. So once we get all those parts in, we can just go. And then that'll give us that extra capacity on that side and just to be able to hit the other 2 wells above them. No, we definitely want to get this going before long summer.
Okay, next we have department and community reports. If anybody has any discussion about those things? I submitted to Mr. Benson, he's our code enforcement officer, probably 10 properties that need some attention. So he was excited to get on that.
Any questions about the community reports? The department reports? For those of you that are new today to a council meeting, all of these reports are available online. It's not something we're keeping in secret. All of this is available to see for the community. Finally, administrative and elected officials reports.
Start with me.
Sure.
Okay, first I'm gonna move this for next meeting. It's not working out. I don't mind staying a little bit. I was asked to be there. Okay, so a couple of things I wanna bring before the council. These are some public works capital needs that I'll probably bring in the future. I think I totally forgot to let most of y'all know, some of you may have known, we had a fire involving our street sweeper and it was totaled. This happened a couple of months ago, so we are gonna need to purchase a new street sweeper. The quote that we've got on something similar, and the one that we have doesn't require CDL, so it's a good size for us. It's about $207,000. We'll be getting $55,000 from our insurance, so I'm just letting you know what something that we're gonna need, and we'll budget. That thing is probably taking a year to get anyway, so just keep that in your mind. It'll come back. I just wanna make you aware. We're also looking at a new chipper truck. Thomas was just bringing this stuff to me. The one that we've got, I don't even know what year it is, but we've had some trouble with it lately. That's another 130, I think. So
is it down?
The chipper truck? Not that I'm aware of.
No, it was working yesterday.
All of the other projects that I normally, those are still moving. You know, we've got the CDBG, or the MITMOD, I'm sorry, we're doing the generators and the drainage project. Those are moving closer to bid. The ARPA projects, which are the lift stations that we're gonna do, we're hoping to bid that, and then the Hurricane Harvey mitigation stuff sometime this summer. So engineering is still moving forward on those. The ERCOT project, that's still moving forward. We're working with all parties involved. Just takes a really long time to coordinate all this stuff because there's so many different things that have to fall. City Hall is still going through the process of getting arbitration set up, finding the right people, having everybody agree on that panel. The EDA project that was started over there in the industrial park, we've kind of been on hold trying to show, like I've told y'all before, we have to prove that we own that street, we own that right of way. We have a plat showing that it was dedicated to us. That hasn't been good enough for all parties, so we're awaiting. There was a call today between the EDA and Brazos Valley COG, because they're administering the grant for us, their legal department. So hopefully I'll hear something on that and we can get moving on that because it's been torn up for a while. With that, I'll be quiet unless y'all have any other questions.
Thursday, I sent an email last week. Thursday, we have our fitness court launch at 5 p.m. at Davidson Creek Park. I'd like to see all of you there if possible. We did invite media, and we're supposed to have a grand production of it, and we have a few people competing against each other, and we'll have an ambassador also kind of showing the ropes of how to use the fitness court. So,
I'm glad I'm going to be in Huntsville. So
oh, okay.
I don't have to worry about being
roped into
doing a challenge.
I'll be at a regional golf tournament for the high school boys.
I did think about getting council to do some sort of competition. I don't know how well that would win. And something else, but call meeting set for May 9th, and that's gonna be to swear in council members, and that should be on that council agenda unless we have something else going on.
What time is it?
It'll be at 5:30. 5:30. That's all I have. Mr. Caldwell? Mr. Novak?
Good.
The computers, thank you to whoever set those up. However, they're going to take some time for us getting used to, but they're fine with me. Thank you. I wanted to personally thank Alan Willis for his how many years of service to City Council? 20 years of service. I think we'll officially present you with a going away gift on the May 9th meeting. But again, on behalf of the City of Caldwell, we thank you for 20 wonderful years of service to the city. Main Street we've got our summer concert dates set. They're the second Saturday of June, July, and August. We anticipate even larger crowds than we've had the last 2 summers, so tell your friends. And then we have a coyote problem. We do, like in my neighborhood, which is in the city limits, and I need to know what the limitations were in the event I line somebody up to shoot them. Mr. Barnes,
You have the right to protect yourself and your property.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Because they're coming up to people's homes and killing pets, and even at dusk, they're not even afraid at nighttime. It's they're everywhere. You hear them all over the place. In that creek, and then the subdivision back behind Walmart off of like Sunny Street, and at the end of Gray and like Copper's Drive, they're everywhere. So, okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Well, I'll take my humility cap off for a second. I am proud of one thing I had control over. I think I missed possibly 3, maybe 4 meetings in 20 years. So, but ask my wife if you don't believe me, because every time she had plans, I said nope. The council meeting, she's still mad at me. Anyway.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mr. McCullough?
I'm good.
Mr. Enrique?
Just a couple things. I know, we have a list of streets that we look at yearly, for construction improvements, stuff like that. I was gonna see if we can start to compile a list. I know President's past, we looked at some drainage issues, of different places in the city, and I know we got a comprehensive plan for the north end of town by OSR, the pond, retention pond. But along with that, I was looking at other projects that need to be looked at and prioritized, and start to put that together. And I know citizens bring that to the council, and we start looking at where do we put that in, and whether it be a year from now, 6 months from now, where does it fit? Some of those might fit in with a street project we're doing, might be nearby that we could make that part of that project or something like that. But we look at possibly putting a plan together.
So like a priority list?
Yeah, like one
streets
list.
and projects?
Capital improvements, and that's part of our comprehensive plan too, is to start that comprehensive capital improvements. So as Mr. Enrique said, maybe we can tag it onto a project that it doesn't make sense to do one and then come back a year later and dig it up and do something else.
Yeah.
Right now, we try to do that with our water and wastewater projects. Take, for instance, Bank Street right now, but yeah, we need to look at that as well.
And question for Mr. Westbrook, is there any grants going out there, do y'all?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's
The deadlines is coming Friday for this year. It's $1 million for this year, just like every year.
anything that benefits us.
Sir?
Yeah, so they're trying to, nothing that would fit city hall or.
Sure there is. Anything that you can do to conserve groundwater, you can apply for that.
Okay, anybody else?
Just next month, y'all are gonna have a different AP report. It's gonna actually be a financial statement. We're gonna start that and shift away from the AP report. Y'all can still get an AP report. We can run that at any time if y'all want us to, but just for budgetary purposes, that's what y'all are needing to look at, is the budget, to make sure that we're on track each year, because that's what y'all actually approve. So the AP report isn't really a necessity for y'all to look at unless y'all ask us about it. So that's just one change that will be next month.
Anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So y'all spend a night? Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, motion, meeting adjourned.